Hi, I'm Anthony Boyd, often called Runeslinger in RPG circles online. And today is Saturday, August 21st, 2021, and so it's the 21st day of RPG-A-Day 2021. And today, I decided to stick with random determination of how I will determine my prompts randomly, because the simple challenge of doing so is nothing to fear. Rather, it is a fine motive. The four prompts today are simplicity, as the large print prompt, with challenge, fear, and motive lurking helpfully underneath. And if I were to just pick something easy, as those of you who are familiar with this podcast or the blog or the YouTube channel would know, I'd go with fear. If I were to go for the most challenging prompt, thinking about it now, on a surface level, it looks like that would be motive. But I decided once again to see what the dice, as my helpful allies, have to say about my selection. So I ended up rolling a D9. And yes, before you ask, there are D9s. And I was happy about that because it's easily broken up into three potential outcomes, the same as I did yesterday by rolling a D24. And initially I had planned to use a D21 because it's the 21st day and it's 2021 and all of that stuff. But I found two D9s and a D11 before finding the D21 I was looking for, and I took that as a hint. You know, the D21 was at the bottom of my dice skull, and I figured if the dice are my allies, then the D9s must have been trying to tell me something if they were ganging up to get between me and the D21. So I took the two D9s, and with the first D9 die in hand, I reviewed my frame for the roll. A roll of 1 to 3 on the die would mean doing simplicity as my prompt, and a 4 to 6 would mean rolling the second D9 to determine which of the three alternate prompts to do. And 1 to 3 challenge, 4 to 6 fear, and 7 to 9 motive. But rolling a 7 to 9 on the D9 would mean choosing the prompt I felt least prepared to work with today. So, you're probably thinking what I ended up thinking and laughing about is that this is in utter defiance of the large print prompt of simplicity. So, anyway, it was entertaining, so I continued. I ended up with a 6, which therefore sparked a second roll. And now, that simple act of making a decision had become 2 or maybe a 3-step process. The second die delivered a 3, and I thrilled in fictional numerological joy at the implications before whispering, "Hail, Eris." The dice had already given me the countersign, you see, of "All hail Discordia," with its 3 delivered in 2 steps for a key of 5 or 6 or both, depending on how you might choose to look at it. That result, therefore, left me standing at the gates of a challenge, prompted by the challenge of a challenging prompt. And I accept. Dear listeners, I hope you were able to navigate the challenge of that introduction, and I further hope that some of you have read the books that I'm making veiled references to. But, as more and more time passes, I'm finding it to be something of a challenge to meet people who have even heard of those books, despite how popular and celebrated they were in their day. But this post is not about that, well, at least not anymore. A skill I really appreciate and pay a lot of attention to in a game master is the ability to juggle not curating an escalation of challenge in a campaign, and with not curtailing character mobility within the setting. In plainer but less concise language, I appreciate a setting with a naturalistic approach to filling the environment that is completely unconcerned by the skill of the characters to deal with it. And I also appreciate that the GM does not match the group of characters against specific challenges in a specific order or in accordance with an assessment of their capabilities. I appreciate that the GM gets to play the world, and part of that is deciding what the world is like. The players get to play their characters, and part of that is deciding where the characters will go, or why they will go there, and what they will do once they arrive. This is another aspect of play on the character level that is mirrored between the players and the Game Master. The Game Master does not have to operate on the story level to provide a story-like experience. It takes care of itself when we play and we look back over the events. The challenges exist and are in places that suit them. The characters are free to research, to explore, to hire helpers, or anything else that they can think of to do, whatever it is that makes sense for them all to do together in the context of why the group chose to play the game. The challenge for the GM is making the world satisfying for them to portray and rich and interesting to interact with. The challenge for the players is really the same. It's making the characters satisfying for them to portray and rich and interesting to interact with. And the challenge for the group as a whole is interacting with each other in satisfying and interesting ways, as befits the parts they have agreed to take on. The result is a world where if the group chooses to take on the most powerful mob boss in 30s era Chicago to end his liquor empire without doing anything other than buying ammunition and confronting him in front of his hotel, well, they can do that. And the dice will dictate their fate. And who knows? Against all odds, they might survive and even become heroes. And that could be a cool tale to tell. Odds are, though, they will roll a different outcome and one that involves funerals, firings, house fires. But that, too, can be an interesting tale, especially when it becomes the teaser scene to a deeper campaign with a new set of characters. It can be challenging to shift perspectives to see what an RPG can be when so much rhetoric is proclaiming as boilerplate what it is. It can be challenging to try a different way to play, or to play on a different level, or to play a different game. Do you always play on the character level? Well, move on over to the story level for a while. Is it the reverse? Slide over to the character level and see how things go there. Do you always play some kind of arc from zero to hero? Try play that, in a game that doesn't use classes or levels, and see what it means to grow an experience in an entirely different way. Or play a game where the characters are the characters and progression is not an aspect of play at all. So the hobby is full of ways to play that defy the expectations rooted in how we are playing now or how we have always played. It challenges us to see things a different way. And this exciting open world challenge that the hobby allows us to experience and explore is to try a new game, to play a new way, and make that challenge a part of how we ourselves grow in our pursuit of RPG play. You've been listening to the Casting Shadows podcast, which is an extension of the Casting Shadows blog and Casting Shadows on YouTube. The blog can be found at castingshadowsblog.com, and on YouTube we're found under the name of Runeslinger. This month of August 2021 is the 8th anniversary of starting RPG A Day. RPG A Day is an exercise in positivity, talking about one idea about RPGs positively every day for each of the days of August. If you stumble across an RPG A Day post that you like, or if you've written one that you like, please share it. Hashtag it RPG A Day 2021. Follow the hashtag and read other people's comments on the same set of prompts. If you like what they're doing, let them know. If you really like what they're doing, share it. Keep in mind always that this is about talking positively about the hobby. We can talk trash anytime. Take care.